Hey guys, it's Ker-Leen and you're watching Thrifty Chic, and today's video is a little bit of a different video. As you can see by the title, I'm kind of doing like a follow-up video to my pregnancy vlogs and my miscarriage testimony. So today I'm just going to talk about some of the things that I did to deal with having a miscarriage at 20 weeks, which is exactly 5 months pregnant. If you watch my testimony video, which I will link somewhere up here, or if you watched my pregnancy vlogs, you will know that I suffered a miscarriage at 20 weeks due to an incompetent cervix, which is a condition where your cervix basically at a certain point in your pregnancy does not hold or sustain the baby any longer. Either your water breaks first or you just start to go into labor. I'm gonna start by talking about how I felt before the pregnancy. So before the pregnancy, my husband and I, we did suffer a 6-week miscarriage, which was an early miscarriage. And with that one, it happened really early, but I was really devastated. So when I got pregnant again, my second pregnancy, I was really nervous. I was nervous about getting past that first trimester, getting into the second trimester. And if you watch my pregnancy vlogs or my testimony video, you'll know that for that pregnancy, we didn't tell anyone until I was in my second trimester. So I felt really anxious, really nervous. I was excited at the same time because, you know, there was life growing inside of me. And at the time when I was almost 5 months, you know, when I had made it to 5 months, I was so happy. I remember that a month before everything just went haywire, my hubby and I, we celebrated our wedding anniversary. I was pregnant, I had a belly, we were at dinner, they, set everything up nice, and I couldn't have any champagne because I was pregnant. And I just felt so special. I felt like so honored that God would choose me and my body as this sort of holding place, this vessel for this new life. And so that's how I felt before I miscarried. Now, during my miscarriage, when I was in the hospital, when I went to the hospital after leaving my OB's office, I felt really discouraged. I was really angry. I was like, why is this happening to me again? At the same time, I was in shock. I remember my hubby driving me to the hospital. We were driving there and I was in tears, and I just couldn't believe this was happening to me again. I, thought, okay, I'm at 5 months, like what in the world is going on again? So yeah, I was just really, really distraught. While I was in hospital waiting to see what would happen with my baby, I was praying. I was, just begging God to just please let this baby be okay, let this baby live. I just saw, my hopes and dreams basically flash before my eyes. Afterwards, I felt pretty down in the dumps. I felt like a failure, honestly, and I know that I'm not a failure. And his plans for me are bigger than my understanding. My understanding is finite, and he is greater, and he is all-knowing. And so I know that, but at the time, my flesh took over, my humanness, if that's a word, took over. And I really felt like a failure. I feel like I'm a woman, I'm married, I should be able to bear a child. And so I was battling with those feelings. I was also obviously feeling sorrowful. The thing about when you go into labor at 20 weeks is that the baby doesn't have something called surfactant, which is necessary for their lungs to be healthy. If they don't have that, then their lungs won't develop, and their lungs will eventually collapse even if they intervene medically. So at 20 weeks, there's absolutely nothing they will do for your baby. I have heard of some babies born at 22 weeks who, in some other countries that they've done amazing things for, but pretty much your baby has to be at least 24 weeks before they will attempt, at least in the United States, to do anything for your child. So my baby, he was really small. When he came out, he was moving, and my heart just broke because I feel like I let him down. Like my body, I was supposed to keep him in, I was supposed to keep him safe. And, obviously that was my flesh that was, you know, operating and thinking in this way, I know that God is the only one who can protect my child. And in retrospect, I was in my feelings and I did not think about the sovereignty of God, meaning that God can do anything and everything that he wants and he doesn't need to explain anything to me. But yeah, at the time I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I let my baby down. Like I watched my sweet little boy, my beautiful little boy, just pass away in our arms. And then finally I felt like, well, not finally, but another thing I was feeling at the time was I felt like I let my husband down. I feel like, you know, he was waiting for this boy, and I know he loves me and I know he understands, and I know that if we never had any kids, he would still love me and we would possibly adopt. And, you know, but at the time I wasn't thinking about those things. At the time I was just like, man, I really don't want to let him down. You know, this is happening again. So yeah, I struggle with that. And then obviously family and friends, you know, people who knew I was pregnant, just having to deal with telling them, oh yeah, we lost the baby. It happened again. So those were all the things I was feeling after. Obviously, if you've followed my story, if you watched the testimony video, which I will link somewhere in this video, if you watch my pregnancy vlogs, you'll know that I had a procedure called the transabdominal cerclage, which is a pretty aggressive measure to keep my cervix closed. I did undertake that procedure, and I undertook that procedure when I was 10 weeks pregnant. So my hubby and I, we were able to conceive again in October of last year. So, and that's another reason why I'm posting this video, because somebody on my Instagram feed posted that they were pregnant. And I was in the car with my hubby, and I just remember just like, I wasn't like jealous or I was really happy for this individual, but it just made me remember that it hadn't happened for us yet. And I just remember crying in the car, honestly. And my hubby was like, it's okay, you know, it's gonna happen for us, it's okay. Little did I know later this month I would become pregnant, you know, so my tears were in vain. God had already blessed me, and I was crying. I think this is a perfect time to post this video. We conceived in October of last year, and I now have a beautiful, almost 4-month-old baby boy. His name is Ker-Leen. He is perfect. He is a blessing. He is our rainbow baby, which means a baby that you have given birth to after having lost a baby. And figuratively speaking, after the storm that we went through, he is this beautiful rainbow. God's faithfulness is just evident because we now are holding our beautiful baby boy every single day, changing his dirty diapers. It's just a blessing. I count it all joy. No matter what happens, I'm just grateful right now. Today I'm feeling grateful. I am feeling closer to God and purposely making every effort to grow in my relationship with Christ and continue to do the things that he has birthed in me to do, and not get caught up with, oh, I'm a mom now. He is the one that gave me this child, and he will be the one to give us more children when the time comes. And he's the one I'm here to serve. And that's the thing that I had to learn out of all of this, is that if I never became a mom, that, you know, that's just wasn't God's plan for me, and that we are created to serve God, to worship God with our lives. So anyways, today I'm feeling overjoyed. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling closer to God. I'm feeling changed. There's something that happens to you when you lose babies, whether it's at 6 weeks or 20 weeks. There's something that happens to you that you're never gonna be the same, ever. You will never forget your baby. I mean, we have his pictures and keepsakes from the hospital. We will never forget him. And there's this deep-seated kind of bittersweet feeling inside of me. Like, I'll never look at anything the same or take anything for granted ever again. It's hard to explain unless you've been through it. You're never gonna be the same again, you know? And that's not a bad thing. That just means that out of my pain, out of my sorrow, out of my experiences, out of my trials, I have built up perseverance, which has built up my character. And I'm not the same. I'm a different person. I have more to offer to the world on behalf of God. So I'm not, you know, upset about that. But yeah, you're never gonna be the same again. After I got home, and we had bought a couple baby things, and I had to look at the baby things, and I had to come home without a baby. Like, that's the hardest part, is like, I went to the hospital, I gave birth, this child came out of me, and I'm coming home empty-handed. Man, for you ladies who have gone through miscarriages, that are late, you've had late miscarriages or stillbirth babies, like, I feel your pain. I experienced both a 6-week miscarriage and a 20-week miscarriage, and they are different. The pain is the same, but the things that you have to deal with are a little bit different. Just looking at baby things, you know, especially if you pretty much did your nursery early, it's really hard. So when I got home, some things I did was, one, I prayed a lot. I wrote my prayers down in a journal, and at first I wasn't able to pray. I felt like I didn't have the words. I was really down in the dumps, and so I would just listen to sermons and just try to receive and try to be encouraged in that way. But I couldn't pray at first. Then I started to journal my prayers, and then eventually I began to pray like orally with my mouth. I spent a lot of time with God during that time. I had to. That was the only thing that kept me sane. That, in addition to having someone to talk to. So I talked to my family a lot. I talked to my husband all day, every day. He was just such a rock during that time, because he was grieving as well, but he was there for me. He made sure that if I needed to talk, he sat down and listened to me, and he converse with me, and those are the things that helped me get through. I also changed my diet and my exercise. So a lot of you may have been following, you probably saw a grocery haul that hubby and I did. That was around the time when I started to change my diet. I had cut out bad carbs, so like all the white carbs, and I lost 10 pounds, and you know, that was the fastest I've ever lost weight in my whole entire life. And so that was one of the things I did. I really started exercising and put a focus on my nutrition, because I wanted, when the time came for me to be pregnant again, I wanted to make sure that my body was the healthiest that it could be for that egg to implant and all of that technical stuff. So I did that. I took my prenatal vitamins all the time, and I made sure I was healthy. My body was up to snuff for the job of carrying a baby. I also spent time with my husband. We spent a lot of time together. We went on a lot of dates. We didn't always spend lots of money, but we did spend a lot of time together. So that really helped kind of keep our relationship fresh and keep us in love with each other. We spent a lot of time together. And I invested time into my music and YouTube. I really wrote music. I did a lot of videos during that time. You guys probably saw lots of videos from me, so I spent a lot of time into my videos, and I want to do that now, and I'm making plans to do that now, but it's a little bit tricky with a almost 4-month-old. But yeah, during that time I really invested in my craft and all the things that I'm talented in, and that also helped me get through. And also, when I got home, I did a lot of research, and that's how I found out about the transabdominal cerclage. I found out about the top 3 doctors that perform it. I, found the website abbyloopers.net, and I just spent a lot of time researching. That kept me sane, because it made me feel like I was doing something. Even though I had lost this baby, I had no control. This made me feel like I had some sort of contingency plan, so to speak, because I was researching, and I felt like, yeah, I'm gonna be ready. This is not gonna happen to me next time because of my negligence or my ignorance or whatever. So I researched, and that's how I found out all that information. And today I have the transabdominal cerclage. It stays in your body. You have to have a C-section with every pregnancy. And one of the side effects that I'm not sure, if I'm gonna be faced with, because I'm still nursing and we haven't started trying yet, but is possibly, having a harder time conceiving. I'm not really concerned about that though, because my God is sovereign, and if we're supposed to have more babies, He will bless us with more babies. But yeah, I did a lot of research, and that's what helped me get through. My advice to you ladies who are watching this video who have suffered with either miscarriages or stillbirths is, one, to journal about your feelings and pray. Pray, 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 pray. Whatever you're feeling, God, the thing about God is that you don't have to come to him with some contrived, rehearsed prayer. You can just tell him how you're feeling. If you're feeling angry, upset, frustrated, just talk to him. Just talk to him. And I guarantee you, you will feel a lot better in that moment. So journal your feelings, pray, watch a lot of encouraging sermons, and just spend a lot of time with God. That is the first step, I would say, is to just take it back to God and see what he wants to show you, because maybe he wants to work on your heart in some way. Maybe he wants to show you something that you couldn't see because you were pregnant or because you were too busy. So yeah, spend a lot of time with God. Secondly, make sure you have someone to talk to. Now, the caveat with this is you need to be careful who you share your feelings with and who you share what you've gone through with, because unfortunately, some people are gonna just want to hear your drama, hear your story, because they love drama and they love gossip. So you have to be careful who you trust with your story and your feelings. But once you find that person, talk to them. Whenever you're feeling down, it needs to be someone that is open to you calling them up whenever and just talking to them, crying on their shoulder, crying over the phone, and they genuinely have encouraging words and they can speak life into you. Preferably someone who has gone through something similar, but if not, someone who loves you and cares about you and doesn't mind listening to you. So that may be a significant other, maybe a sister, a cousin, or a best friend, or just another lady that has gone through what you've gone through. Next is to be active. So I would add to that, just be proactive. Make sure that your body is healthy. If you need to lose weight, make sure you lose the weight. If you need to cut fats and high cholesterol foods and high sodium and lots of sugar out of your diet, do it, because you're doing it for your future child. So prepare your body, cut out all the bad foods, take your prenatal vitamins, and prepare your body, because you don't know when you will conceive if you're trying to conceive. Also, exercise. Make sure that you are working out. Physical activity is great for the body as well. But obviously pay attention to, if you're trying to conceive, what types of exercise you do. Maybe try not to do high impact if you are in the middle of trying to conceive, because you never know when you're going to get pregnant. So low impact, yoga, Pilates, walking, things like that. But just make sure that you are active. And also recreation. Try not to stay inside and dwell on your problems and your issues. Go out, go out with a friend, go out with your significant other, go out with a family member, and do things once a week, because you need to escape the mental stress that comes from having experienced a miscarriage. And like I told you guys, my hubby and I, we went out a lot and we did a lot of things together. So yeah, engage in some recreation and just make sure that you keep your mind right, if you know what I mean. And then finally, be patient but proactive. Being patient doesn't mean not doing anything. I was patient, but I researched, I called around, I found out if I was a candidate for the procedure, and I was. A lot of doctors will tell you for the TAC that you have to have had 2 second trimester losses. I only had 1, and I knew that I would never have another one. So I researched and I found 3 doctors. I called them. I had to go through a lot. In retrospect, I don't even remember the details, because I was just going, making sure that my insurance would cover the procedure, because at the time, I had an HMO. Now we have a PPO, and you can see any doctor you want without a referral under PPO. But at the time, we had an HMO, which reminds me, be positive. Try to be as positive as possible. I know when you're dealing with your feelings and your flesh, it can be hard to be positive, but it will help you be more productive if you are positive. But at the time, I felt like, man, we have an HMO, and this insurance company never approves anything. So how is this gonna happen? So I just prayed about it. I left it up to God, and I, spoke to the representative at my doctor's office, and I explained the situation to her. And at the end of the day, she sent off a letter that I wrote. She sent off some studies I printed out about the effectiveness of the TAC. She you know, basically did her part, I did my part. She was down. So you want to make sure that if you do have an HMO, that at your primary care physician's office, you speak to the referral specialist and that they're on board. If they're on board, then you know that you're going to get things done. Like, she would call me and tell me, I haven't heard back from your insurance company yet. And she was really open with communication. So that's how I was able to get things done. I mean, I went in, I sat down, she looked at me in the eyes, and so she was able to build a connection with my case, and she was able to work on my behalf as a go-between me and the insurance company. At the end of the day, God moved on the heart of the manager at the insurance company, and they approved it, you know. And when it was approved, I couldn't believe it. It was a week before I went ahead and I set up the appointment. That's another thing. When you want something, you have to kind of work as if you already had it. So I set my surgery appointment for the transabdominal cerclage for December 19th, and I was approved for it as far as my insurance covering a week before. So as soon as we found out they were going to cover it, we had been saving up money for the trip, and we just started to book things like our rental car and our hotel, and then we went and I got it done. I had never had surgery before, and it was so scary, but I knew that I was doing it for my baby. And by the way, at the time I was 10 weeks pregnant. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I was like, you know what, this baby, like, I'm doing it for this baby. I have to protect this baby as best as I can, and then let God finish the work that he started in me, and believe in him for that. So be patient, you know, it will happen if it's in God's will, and be proactive, because the Bible says faith without works is dead, and I believe that that principle applies in lots of different situations. So if you are waiting to have a baby and you suffer with an incompetent cervix or some other medical condition, then it's up to you to research, to be well informed, and to find out what you need to do on your part. If it were up to my doctors and just the rule of thumb, I would have had to lose another baby before I could even be considered for a transabdominal cerclage. Now, I forgot to mention that they were offering me a transvaginal cerclage, and that one had a very low success rate. And the chain of events that led me to losing my child happened so quickly that I knew my body would not accept the TVC, the transvaginal cerclage, would not be enough to hold my baby in. Because I mean, it was a matter of days and I had lost my baby. When I found out that my cervix was open, I was already 3 centimeters dilated and completely effaced. So I knew that if I went ahead and got the TVC, chances of me keeping my baby were going to be really, really low compared to getting the TAC, which is a transabdominal. Anyways, guys, this cart is almost full. So I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about kind of what I went through and how I'm feeling today after having suffered a 20-week miscarriage. And I hope that this video was a help to you guys. Sorry, I'm in my hoodie because I came from an event earlier and I was about to go and wash off my makeup, and I was like, you know what, let me just sit down and do this video. I've been meaning to do it for a while. God put it on my heart to do this video to encourage you ladies. If you are suffering, you know, with the memories of a lost child, I'm so sorry for your losses. I understand how you feel, but don't give up, don't lose hope, and remember that God is sovereign and his plans are bigger than ours. And when we make plans, he laughs. In our hearts, we devise a plan, but God ultimately controls the outcome, and that's scriptural. So if you believe in God, then know that he loves you and his plans for you are better than anything you could ever imagine. So the key thing is to spend a lot of time with him and not to let yourself become discouraged or down. I know that's easier said than done, but hopefully some of the things I shared in this video with you will help you manage those feelings and navigate this uncertain time. Just don't lose hope, don't give up, do your research, prepare your body, spend time with God, and I think you'll be fine, okay? So hopefully this video helped you guys, and I don't know if I'll be making any more of these videos. If you want to see more of these videos, if you have any questions, maybe I can do like a Q&A, on my process, what I've gone through from my perspective. All right, so I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.